And Representative Nancy Mace tried to hold Ilhan Omar accountable after Omar mocked Charlie Kirk's assassination, but the effort failed in Congress by just one vote. We have 4 Republicans, including Cory Mills, who sided with the Democrats to kill the censure, which sparked outrage inside the GOP. So Representative Mace joins us now with much more than just the vote. So we really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being here. So walk us through why you felt it was important, first of all, to just bring up this censure resolution against Ilhan Omar.
Well, we saw in the wake of Charlie Kirk's political assassination and murder, some of the worst come out in people advocating for violence, celebrating his murder, calling Republicans and conservatives like all of us fascists, Hitler, Nazis. That's why Charlie was killed, because he was villainized and he was killed over free speech and his words. And this was celebrated. And we as a party, we as a country, conservatives, Republicans, independents, and some Democrats, we all banded together and said this was wrong. And then you had many on the left and leaders in the Democrat Party like Ilhan Omar sharing content, calling us and Charlie Kirk terrorists, advocating for violence, the very thing that got him killed. And we as a country they have to take responsibility. And I said from the very beginning that Democrats owned this. And what she did was egregious. And people have been censured for far less. And what I wanted to do was censure her on the floor of the House of Representatives. I also wanted her removed from her committee assignments, because there must be consequences. And this is not an attack on free speech. You can say whatever you want, but that doesn't mean you're free from consequences. It's like we've all been advocating. We don't want teachers indoctrinating our children, those who celebrate murder. I don't want an anesthesiologist who was celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk with me in the room next time I have to go under. I might not wake up, right? And so there have to be consequences for people, particularly in responsible positions like Ilhan Omar. And we failed by one vote. It's very disappointing.
It beggars belief. I mean, what the vote was, 214 to 213, I believe. One vote, you lose. Tell us how frustrating that was, and were you surprised that you had 4 Republicans turning against you?
Right. And, they wanted to use the excuse of, well, this is free speech. She's allowed to say what she wants. There shouldn't be consequences. But what they did was the very opposite of that. They took away my free speech, my right to debate the resolution. This wasn't a vote on the bill. This was just a vote to debate my resolution that would censure her and throw her off the committee. So ironically, these 4 Republicans who said, well, this is a First Amendment issue, took away my First Amendment to actually debate the resolution and just get a vote. That there's nothing more about free speech than be able to debate a bill or an ideology or a resolution, et cetera. And they took that right away from me at the end of the day. And we all know what this was about. I mean, we had Cory Mills, it failed by one vote. And we know why he did this, because Democrats were going to censure him for the allegations and behavior that he has conducted. And so this was quid pro quo. It was very self-serving. We have a President Trump wants Ilhan Omar expelled or impeached from Congress. And this was the very least we could do, because we're not going to get 2/3 and impeach her from Congress. That's not going to happen. We don't have the votes. But this is something we could have done as another measure to hold her accountable for her words.
And we know, again, the reports in Axios that Representative Cory Mills was going to have a censure vote of his own that he was going to have to face. And it has a lot to do with the reporting that we've done here at Blaze Media, bringing forth some of the interesting circumstances around Mills and his life, his business, etc. Stolen valor. There's a lot to get into with Congressman Cory Mills. So what have you learned about the congressman since the vote? Because it has shifted, I would say, public opinion, because we at Blaze Media, they were asking a lot of questions like, wait, this guy's supposed to be a hero. Why are you guys going after him? And then they see this vote and they say, wait a minute, hold on. Why is Congressman Cory Mills, who we think is a good guy, why is he voting this way? So what have you learned since then?
Well, he ran as MAGA. He ran as America First. He ran as someone who was endorsed by Donald Trump, and he's going against what the president even indicated he wanted, because he wanted her expelled or impeached from Congress. And and so I think that raised a lot of eyebrows is why. And then we saw the press coverage uncovered that, hey, the Democrats dropped their censure against him. This was a horse trade, nothing more than that. They used it to hold it over his head to get his vote so that Ilhan Omar's vote would fail. That's all that this was about, was a quid pro quo. And then because there was so much attention on this particular vote, his vote, and why it defied the base, it defied MAGA, it defied America First, then that's when I saw the Blaze article and other articles. And then I saw these accounts of veterans. And then I saw CoryMillsWatch.com. And I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what was up. And then I saw all this reporting, and I've talked to so many veterans now, and I'm the daughter of a veteran. I'm a daughter of a retired Army Ranger. My father commanded the first ever Ranger training brigade at Fort Benning back in the 80s. And here you have a member of Congress who lied to get into office. He told people he was an Army Ranger. I talked to two people today who knew him, and they flat out said he was an Army Ranger and was a sniper and all these things. Turns out it was not true. And so when you think about stolen valor, and then you hear from people that were there overseas and say that he allegedly stole the stories of dead soldiers or soldiers who couldn't speak because of their injuries and made them his own, is incredible. And I just I have no forgiveness for people who are going to steal the valor of another man, of another soldier who gave his life or who sacrificed so much. I think it's very admirable that Cory Mills was an ambulance driver. Like he was, we're not even sure he was trained as a medic. We can't find proof of that right now. But whether you're a medic or an ambulance driver, you have decided to serve your country. That in and of itself is admirable. So there's no reason to lie and say that you're Rambo or 007 or this Ranger, sniper, commando guy that was never, that was no there. And to hear the pain of these veterans who've come forward because their valor was stolen was really eye-opening. And then I spoke to General Bray over the weekend.
Tell us about that.
Well, I just called him up. There's a DA form 638. I didn't serve, I'm not a veteran, but I know that there's this claim that Cory Mills has a Bronze Star. And I did a little bit of digging over the weekend. I spoke to the general who supposedly signed that document, a document that Cory Mills will not bring forward he won't show a citation for a Bronze Star. He won't show the application or the 638 form for the Bronze Star. We'll come to find out the general whose name is on that form didn't even sign it and didn't actually see the document before his signature was placed on it. So to find out all this information, I was floored. And I woke up Monday morning and I figuratively chose violence. And I just said, if we're going to restore trust in the institution of government, trust in the institution of Congress, trust within our party, we have to be willing to acknowledge even when we have our own failures. Because if I'm telling you we got to clean up the Democrats, we got to clean up the left, when we have a mess on our side, we have to be willing to clean it up also. And I can think of nothing more egregious than stolen valor. And the more I dig, the more people I talk to, the worse it gets. I'm sure you guys are probably seeing the same thing.
I love hearing someone in Congress say this because I believe it's the time where we won the election, but we do have to clean house, as it were. And we just don't have time for bad actors. And people at home certainly express to us all the time they're sick of people who don't understand MAGA or who are pretending. So, but in this case, it's interesting because you did choose violence. I saw some of that violence online, and it was good. I mean, you were asking real questions. What's wrong with that? But tell us a little bit about your interactions with the congressman, since you said online that he had threatened you and that you guys had a back and forth. So trace that out for us since the vote.
Well, the night of the vote, I let the president know that the four individuals that voted against the measure, he's very deeply passionate about Ilhan Omar and why it went down the way that it went down. And I guess Congressman Mills got wind of that and threatened me over text. And I just responded, for a guy who's accused of threatening women, you're not really doing yourself a lot of favors here. And he blew up my phone. He started texting me. He called me, and it really made me feel uncomfortable. I was like, there's just something not right. And I don't know what nail I hit on the head. Like I didn't realize that I had accidentally started to peel back the layers of onions that the Blaze and other reporters have been working on for months. to uncover what has happened. I didn't know about the allegations with the women and the restraining order, the bruises, that sort of thing, or the stolen valor or the alleged arms deals. I had no idea about any of that, and I was floored, but I certainly struck a nerve with him, and it's just gone downhill really since then. And I'm not someone who's going to back down from a fight. And I certainly let him know what I thought about the whole ordeal. And he blew me up on Monday, and wanted to defend his stolen valor claim that he was blown up twice. He was not. And he even sent me that photo with the blood on his leg and a text that was basically, here's the second hit. Like he got hit, and that's not even his blood. And so when you realize, wow, everything is a lie, I'm beside myself. And we as Republicans, we support our military, we support our veterans, we support those who are protecting our freedoms here and abroad. And I can think of nothing worse than spitting on the grave of a dead soldier who gave his life for our country, with someone who, is taking those stories and making them their own. And I did the pain that causes me as the daughter of a veteran, the daughter of a Army Ranger. We can't have imposters in our party. And now, because of this negativity, the negative press he's been attracting for months locally, his seat's at risk if we don't replace him. And then when you look at the allegations of the arms dealing, the bags of cash, allegedly, is this guy a national security threat? He sits as the Intel chair on the Foreign Affairs Committee. How the heck is he even on this committee if these allegations are swirling around him? We can't have someone who's stolen valor on the House Armed Services Committee. Like, what are we even talking about? And so that's why it's very confusing. And the more I learn, the more people I talk to, the worse it gets. And when you look under one rock, there are 10 more rocks. And it's a never ending rabbit hole with this guy. And I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, you have absolutely hit the nail on the head, because your story of what you're dealing with the congressman, we can say, 10 times over with the people that we have talked to behind the scenes as well. And we look at Congressman Cory Mills, and it's not like he's doing a great job serving his district. He has had one town hall on the phone back in April for his district, and he has now made 4 trips overseas to the Middle East. One over New Year's Eve, he went to Iraq and Kuwait, and Qatar now apparently is thrown in there. Dubai over Valentine's Day, where there happened to be an international arms expo with 200,000 people. I'm sure that was just a coincidence. Easter, he was in Syria and Turkey. And now, this weekend, still today, Cory Mills is over in Syria meeting with the finance minister over there. So when you look at just all of these different things that are adding up, how do you view this current situation?
Well, I'm deeply concerned, and I think this is an urgent matter. I believe that there is a national security issue surrounding this behavior. I put a question to some folks today to ask if this trip to Syria this week was approved by the House Ethics Committee. I want to know who paid for it. I want to know who was there, how it was funded, who we met with. I am very concerned because of his ties to the arms company. There is a OCC investigation there that has been referred to the House Ethics Committee. I don't think there's been any resolution there, but it does concern me that we have someone who has this top secret security clearance, who has this alleged connection with the arms company still, that there are a lot of questions there, that there is a national security concern. And I think it is immediate. And I think it's something that we need to address as the House. And it deeply concerns me. And he shouldn't be on foreign affairs, let alone be the chairman of the Intel subcommittee on foreign affairs. I just think it's wild that he is still on that committee. I will be calling for his resignation from that committee. I will also be calling for his resignation from the House Armed Services Committee. We cannot have someone on House Armed Services who has stolen valor. It boggles the mind that we are allowing this to happen. And I think it's only going to get worse with the reporting that you all are doing. It seems like every day, every few days, you're coming out with new information, and it's really shocking.
Well, I mean, I speak for both of us and everyone at Blaze when we say thank you for your attention to this. It does mean a lot that members of Congress are taking responsibility and actually not backing down in these fights to someone who's bullied a lot of people over the years. We can't walk away from you though without talking about the fact that you are in Congress, but you are also running for something else right now. Tell us about the launch of this campaign.
Well, we announced our run for governor of South Carolina in August during the August recess. And I think we have a huge opportunity in the 2026 midterms to install America First MAGA governors to implement President Trump's agenda state by state. We have Byron Donalds in Florida. We have Vivek Ramaswamy in Ohio. We have Marsha Blackburn in Tennessee, and maybe Tim Burchett will run for Senate. That'll be a race, but we have an enormous opportunity here, and I want to save my country, and I think we can do that state by state. Last year in Bright Red, South Carolina, we had a sanctuary sheriff. We're not a sanctuary state, but our state leaders, everyone in our delegation, turned a blind eye to a sanctuary sheriff who was letting out illegals who were rapists, murderers, and pedophiles. Really egregious things. We have the highest state income tax in the Southeast, almost as high as Massachusetts. And so we need someone who's going to come in and be law and order, cut taxes, cut regulations, cut government, just like Donald Trump is doing. And if folks want to chip in or help out, they can go to nancymace.org. We've had over 12 or 13,000 donations in the last 6 to 7 weeks. It's been incredible, not just from folks in South Carolina, but all across the country.
That is incredible. nancymace.org. And, I think that it speaks volumes that you're willing to not only call out the Democrats and Ilhan Omar when she needs it, but also trying to clean house on the right, because this is a moment in time that we are not going to get back. And the truth matters, and saving this country matters. Nancy Mace, Representative, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, and God bless.